And people should know this, and especially try to say this to all the people in front of my house in the middle of the night and the rest. The president has been advocating for humanitarian assistance to the Palestinians. The Republicans in the House of Representatives have held it up. And yet, to hear these people go out there and say, oh, genocide, Joe, all that, not to repeat what they say, but nonetheless, he's the one who's been advocating for it. The House of Representatives has held that up, as you know. But I don't know if they're progressives outside my house. I don't even know who they are outside my house. But in terms
protesting his handling of the war, yeah.
Yeah, but I know my protesters. You know, I've represented my district a long time. I got the biggest vote of any Democrat in California. They said, oh, you're not reflecting your district. No, I got the biggest vote of any Democrat in California. Some of these people are, I don't know who they are. Some are the usual suspects, but largely they are. I don't know what they are. But nonetheless, what is their agenda? Some of it is spontaneous, sincere and real and organic. Some of it, I make a distinction between AstroTurf and grassroots. And some of it is AstroTurf. So who benefits from it? Donald Trump. Who benefits from Donald Trump? Putin. There's, in my view, a connection there.
Boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. We got to talk about the Democrat Party civil war, okay? The current raging fight between the establishment Democrats and the woke activists, okay, who have lost their minds, okay? They're protesting in the street in almost every major city in the United States of America about what is going on in another country, right? What's going on between Israel and Hamas in Gaza, okay? And the Democrats, the establishment Democrats, they are facing the consequences of the radicalization that they caused in this country during the George Floydification of America. Because if you guys remember, politicians like Nancy Pelosi were running around with kente cloths, supporting the woke activists while they were committing acts of violence and destruction in the name of George Floyd. Okay, they were burning down these liberal cities and neighborhoods, and Democrats said, hey, you know, it's for social justice purposes, so therefore I guess it's okay, right? This is what Democrats openly and explicitly endorsed during the BLM riots, and that has led to what we're currently dealing with today, which is just another group of left-wing extremists that are radicalized by the Democrat Party, and they're out in the streets protesting, and in some cases, again, you're seeing acts of violence be committed because of their social justice cause. But the difference between the pro-Palestinian activists and protesters and the BLM rioters / protesters is that the pro-Palestinian activists are directing their protests towards the Democrats, okay? I mean, back then, BLM, they were directing their anger at Republicans, the right, the white man, but that's not what's happening with the pro-Palestinians. What they're doing is that they are directing their anger at the Democrat Party because of their refusal to force Netanyahu to issue a ceasefire, which I'm not even sure if that's possible at this point, but these people certainly believe that to be the case. And that has resulted in consequences for Democrats who routinely face protests and backlash everywhere they go, right? Because these people are upset, okay? And that leads me to Nancy Pelosi, who just had one of her speeches disrupted by pro-Palestinian protesters at Oxford University. Now, you guys should remember I've covered this story before in the past about how annoyed Nancy Pelosi is with the fact that there are protesters outside of her house every single day to protest her, which I found to be absolutely hilarious, okay? And Nancy Pelosi has been speaking out against these people, okay? And it seems like these protesters are following her everywhere she goes, including overseas. She's over there in the UK at Oxford trying to give a speech, and these people are protesting her and heckling her. I wish I had more video to show you guys what happened during this incident, but unfortunately I don't. As of the making of this video, maybe I'll get more before I finish it, but Yeah, this is hilarious to me, right? As Nancy Pelosi was asked directly about these woke activists and the fact that they are abandoning the Democrat Party over this conflict and what that might mean for Democrats in 2024. And Nancy Pelosi decided to blame Putin and to say that, well, Putin is behind these woke activists who are upset with Democrats. Take a look.
And you know what the protesters and the hecklers are saying about Joe Biden, the label genocide Joe. Could support for Israel cost Democrats the election this fall?
Well, it's interesting to me that you use that term, because that's what we see at 3 o'clock in the morning outside of our house, flashing as long as this room, a sign that says that. And he has been, as I say, the force for humanitarian assistance to them. He now is calling for the ceasefire. Who's resisting the ceasefire at this point is Hamas. Remember, Hamas is a terrorist organization in our view. Hamas has in its charter the destruction of the state of Israel. So this is more complicated. In terms of your question about the election, it's in Putin's interest for, to win. And therefore, I see some encouragement on the part of the Russians of some of what's going on. I trust the sincerity of many of the demonstrators. It's organic, it's spontaneous, it's real, but some of it, I think, has a Russian tinge to it. In terms of the election, people have to decide. Do you want to save the planet? Doesn't. Do you want to save your personal liberties, women's right to choose, LGBTQ? Do you want to protect the children from gun violence? Do you want to protect our Constitution, our democracy? That's really what's on the ballot, in addition to those two names. So we just have to win. As I say, it's democracy is at stake. In my view, civilization as we know it today is at stake in that election, should the other side prevail. It's going to be an interesting time. We made a decision to win, and we'll make every decision in favor of winning, which means message-wise, mobilization on the ground, and money-wise in order to make that happen.
Yeah, so you see that, you heard that, okay? Now, I find Nancy Pelosi's answer to be hilarious for multiple reasons, okay? First and foremost, as you can see, she has a severe case of Trump derangement syndrome. So severe that apparently it has caused her to forget Trump's name, okay? Because she calls Trump, what's his name, what's his face, as if she has forgotten his name. Which, by the way, if Nancy has forgotten Trump's name, if she doesn't know the former president's name, then she should step down, okay? Apparently, she has a case of the Joe Biden. That is all the more reason why she doesn't belong in Congress. I would argue, regardless of that, she probably should step down anyways because she's too damn old, okay? Term limits, okay? But, yeah, what you can see there is that the Trump derangement is very real and strong with Nancy Pelosi. Now, what I find to be fascinating about this interview is that Nancy Pelosi is continuing to essentially smear her own people the same way that Democrats smear their political opponents, okay? These same people were running around talking about how Trump supporters are Russian assets, okay? If you support Trump, then you support Putin, okay? Which, again, by the way, there's no evidence that supporting Trump is supporting Putin, right? This is just an extension of the fake Russia collusion hoax that was orchestrated by Hillary Clinton and the Democrats. But they're using that same smear they use against the right, they're now using it against the left, right? Basically, what they're saying is that, well, because these pro-Palestinian protesters are opposed to us, okay, and our agenda, right? They're causing us a pain in the butt. Therefore, they have to be Russian, right? They have to be Russian assets, right? They're being paid off by Putin, okay? Somehow Putin is involved, and he is, I guess, funding these protests and riots. Now, again, she doesn't give any real evidence of this, but she just kind of throws that out there. And, of course, the so-called journalist that she's interviewing with doesn't push back because they never push back on these claims, right? They never push back on Democrats just throwing out this stuff where they say, well, just because they are opposed to us, they must be funded by Putin, right? Where's the evidence, Nancy? Where is the evidence? Okay. But again, I want you guys to understand what's happening here. Democrats have essentially said that, look, anybody that's in opposition to us is anti-Semitic, xenophobic, racist, pro-Russian, anti-democracy. Okay. This is what they do. They label you as some form of bigot or some form of a traitor for being against their agenda. And it's not something that they just use when it comes to people on the right, people that are their political opponents. They also will use that against their own base, right? Their own supporters, right? Which is hilarious to me because these same people, the people that support Democrats, were some of the people that were out here spouting these Democrat Party talking points of, well, the people on the right are anti-Semitic, okay, because they don't agree with Democrats and the Democrat agenda or whatever, right? Or that people on the right were Russian assets because they agree with Trump or that they support Trump, therefore you must be supporting Putin. But now Democrats are turning around and using those same smears against those people, right? They're calling the pro-Palestinian activists anti-Semitic. They're calling them pro-Russian, right? And again, what is the common denominator here? The common denominator is being against Democrats, right? If you're against Democrats, then therefore you must be all these things. You have to be some form of a traitor or you're some form of a bigot, okay? That's what Democrats have done. I just find it to be hilarious that they're using these smears against their own people, right? As these people say, hey, I don't want to vote for Joe Biden, right? I'm not going to show up and vote for Joe Biden because I don't like how Democrats are handling this conflict, okay? They're now turning against their own. They're out here arresting these people, getting these people arrested for protesting against the Democrat regime. Now, again, in some cases, these people are actually being violent, so I think those arrests are justified, but also in other cases as well, too. I mean, these people have just been arrested just because they're speaking out against Democrats, right? Which, again, it's funny because Democrats are the same people that point to Trump and say, well, that's what Trump is going to do to you, right? Trump is going to do that to you. He's going to arrest political dissenters if he's elected. But that's what Democrats are doing right now, right? Democrats are literally authorizing arrests and smearing people that politically dissent from them in their own party. It's amazing how that works. And then Nancy Pelosi has the nerve to turn around and say, well, hey, you should vote for us if you want to, I don't know, save the planet, right? The world's at stake, civilization's at stake. If you care about LGBTQ, if you care about democracy, a bunch of childish things, right? The way that Democrats kind of present the dichotomy between them and Trump, again, it's extremely childish because only a child would think like that. Well, let me vote for Democrats to save the planet. Again, very childish thinking. But again, this is what Democrats think of their voters. They think of their voters like children, right? And when their children get out of line, okay, in ways that they don't like, what you can see is that they issue a spanking, which is what's happening to the pro-Palestinian protesters right now. The Democrats are giving them a little spanking for stepping out of line, right? You only can protest and engage in these acts of domestic extremism when you're protesting Republicans, right? When you're protesting Trump, okay, if you're doing it in the name of going after the conservatives, okay, then yeah, that's totally fine. It's totally okay. Democrats would cheer that on, okay? Nancy Pelosi will get on one knee and kneel with a kente cloth on, right? This is what they did, okay, during the BLM riots. But again, it's just so funny how fast forward 4 years later, all of a sudden, oh, you're not down with the social justice protest anymore, Nancy. What happened, right? What happened to all that, okay? Why did you not accuse these people being Russian assets in 2020? Oh, wait, it's because they served your interests, right? It was in your best interest for these people to be out here in the streets and doing what they was doing. You saw them as useful tools to push your political agenda, right, against Trump. Now, all of a sudden, they've turned around on you. Oh, they're Russian assets, right? This must be financed by Russia. Again, absolutely amazing. Absolutely amazing. But hey, you know, this is the conflict within the Democrat Party. I hope that the woke activists see this, okay? See what people like Nancy Pelosi are saying about them, right? And I hope that they factor that into their decision not to vote for Democrats in this upcoming election. So I'm just saying, if you are a leftist, look at what Nancy Pelosi is saying about you. Look at how they treat you when you fall out of line. Are these the people that you really want to support in this upcoming election? I personally think that if you want to get revenge on the Democrats, the best thing for you to do is to vote for Trump, right? If you want peace, you should probably vote for Trump. Otherwise, you know, if you want to sit out, that's fine too. I'm not opposed to that if you just want to sit out. But I don't think that voting for Biden is an option considering how these people think that you're a Russian asset, okay? And they're now weaponizing the state against you for exercising your opposition to their agenda. So, hey, let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, or support, at least share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.